Most of my research for solar was in the reading. A lot of papers, a lot of books. There's a huge amount of material now. I had to find a technology that was just a little out of reach to give the novel its sort of forward movement. I spent some time traveling in New Mexico looking for the right location for the very end of the novel. And I also spent time in Colorado at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory there. And that helped me construct a similar, rather dowdier version of that lab here in England. I talked to a few physicists, and I was very lucky on a journey in Ecuador last year to run into a Cambridge physicist, Graham Mitchison, and he checked all my science, such as it is, especially the quantum mechanics. And then the idea came to me to ask him to reverse engineer for me Michael Beard's Nobel Prize Stockholm citation. And Graham rose to this challenge magnificently and devised a very humorous paper of a fictional academician from the Swedish Academy of Sciences delivering his 700 words of praise before a fictional character goes up to meet the King of Stockholm and receive his gong. Well, like most people, I've been rather cast down by it. I had high hopes. It's unpredictable. We didn't know that the Americans were going to be so unprepared, and the American system of government is such that the president is not free in the way that many other heads of state are, or prime ministers are. We'd never calculated that the Chinese were going to drag their feet in the way they did, or that the Europeans were going to be so pathetic. So it was a disappointment. There's no way around it. At least 190 odd countries came together, and I guess this was a conflict, a head-on collision between our capacity for reason and reasoned argument and science on the one hand, and our tribalism expressed through nation states on the other. A disappointment that it was the tribalism that won out. But my hope for the future is, first of all, this will reconvene. I mean, the process will go on at government level. But I think that there are many developments in technology, in business, in the attitude of individuals, and that it could well be that the process of change and clean energy and decarbonizing economies will come from the bottom up. It will rise up because there are other forces propelling it. Oil will run out sooner or later. There's a demand for energy security. And at national and even city levels all around the world, there are administrative, bureaucratic pushes to help local initiatives and so on. So I think we're going to have to cling to that one, to the fact that it will move out of government's hands. It really was a starting point for me. It was my way into the subject. People gathered together, deeply concerned about climate change, spending their evenings discussing it, about how the world needed fundamental changes of approach and opinion, and at the same time, this growing chaos in the room next door we called the boot room, where all our gear was stored, our outdoor gear, our snowmobile suits and so on. And it was this disparity between the chaos of what was right there on the ship and our aspirations, our ideals, that seemed to me to suggest that the way into this subject was through a kind of forgiving humor. So that was the main thing I took away from this trip. I'd love to become a part-time Australian. I love Bruny Island. My friend Richard Flanagan lent me a house there. I thought Tasmania was one of the most beautiful places and most tragic places I've ever seen. The steady destruction by the firm called Guns of the eucalyptus forest there is one of the most astounding acts of vandalism of our time. The modern environmental movement has its roots in activists in Tasmania protecting the Franklin River. They have been partially successful, but I was helicoptered in by Senator Bob Brown, Green Senator, and Richard Flanagan, and we walked in stunning ancient forest that only had 6 months to live. It was waiting to be turned into wood chip, and it is a great sadness whenever I think of Tasmania, that such beauty living alongside such tragic waste. And I do hope that one day the government of Mr. Rudd will turn his attention to this. It really is one of the most beautiful places on the planet, and it should be saved in its entirety.